Hello, and thank you for joining me. A couple of things happened these last couple of weeks, and so I decided that it's important that we discuss power, self love, and our tempo. One thing that happened, I had hired a couple guys to shovel the front of my house. Well, whenever I hire someone to do anything, I I have to well, maybe I don't have to, but I like to keep an eye on what's going on. So I was out there while they were shoveling because I didn't want no misunderstanding. And I believe in paying people for jobs that they do. I don't believe in uh, trying to renegotiate once we have negotiated a price. Well, one of the gentlemen that was shoveling. I actually also have this huge snowblower, self-propelled, which I have trouble with it, but a man doesn't have trouble with it. So I let the gentleman also use my self-propelled snowblower for this job as well. This was a few weeks ago when we had that really huge snowstorm. Well, while I was out there, he was discussing with me. Well, he shared. I don't know if you heard one of my other videos. If you listen to that, I shared that sometimes people like to come to me and just discuss things. They just start talking to me. I've experienced that many, many, many times. I don't judge people. I let them share whatever it is they want to share, but I don't judge. So while he was cleaning my driveway, he said to me, he shared that, he says, I'm on methadone. I said, oh. He says, yeah, I started out smoking pot, and this is what he said to me, he shared. I started out smoking pot, and then I lost both of my parents 1 month apart from each other. He said I had my own business and everything. So I continued to listen, and I let him finish talking, and he shared that he started on hard drugs, cocaine, after the loss of both of his parents 1 month apart, and that he was the only child. So I asked him how was his life going now, that he was on the methadone, and I didn't kind of react one way or the other. I just was very neutral. Um, I felt very, actually, I kind of felt blessed that he felt that type of spirit to want to just share that. I mean, because I didn't ask him anything about his personal life at all. So he told me his life is going much better now, and that he's trying desperately to help the gentleman that was working with him, because he was in a program also, but he had left the program. So they're out trying to make, an honest dollar. So I thought about that, and some things came to mind about your body being your temple. Um, the gentleman looked much older than he actually was, and the other gentleman looked much older as well. Um, they shared their ages with me. I really didn't ask. I didn't ask at all. They were kind of sharing that with me. Also, a situation happened with a young lady who was excessive, having I guess an eating breakdown, because I am an emotional eater, and I kind of was sharing with her my crisis of my layoff and different things that was happening with me, and she was saying, I know, I just can't stop eating. I told her I had control over it now. Everything was going fine. I was able to self-heal and gain control, but she was sharing that everything was going just totally downhill with her, and she didn't know what she was going to do. But what I shared with her was that, you know, you have something that can really, really help bring out some joy in you that you may have a hard time reaching. I say, you have a child. Children are blessings. And a child will smile no matter what. You just have to smile at the child. You have to show the child love and joy. And that child, that blessing from the Divine Spirit will give that back to you. So my phone is ringing now, but I'm not going to answer it. So I shared that with her. And as I went through these different things that went on this week, I wanted to share some thoughts and things also with my listeners and viewers. So I'm going to read to you. I have to put on my glasses because I can't see. So I'm going to read something to you. And this I'm reading to you from Corinthians. Corinthians is actually the Corinthians 2, which is actually the second writing, the second letter from Paul. And this is from the Master Study Bible, which is the King James Version. And Corinthians 2 talks about life questions. And so that for me really hit really home when I started thinking about some of the experiences and the people that I've come across within these last couple of weeks. And it has a lot to do with our power that we have within ourselves and our tempo. For example, the gentleman who shared with me that he was on methadone, and one thing I did ask him how did he decide to seek out help? When people don't get me on my house phone, they start calling my cell phone. So I'm not going to answer that either. And he told me that he just felt something inside that told him that he needed to get his life in check. So I'm going to read this to you, and it's Corinthians 1-7. As ye are partakers, of the suffering, so shall ye be also of the consolation. Which means that we go through suffering. The suffering that we go through, it was passed on to us from Adam and Eve, the first of humankind. So, but we go through that type of suffering. However, what this passage is saying to us is that we also have the power within ourselves to ask the Divine Spirit, get in touch with that part of us to help bring us out of the suffering. We can heal ourselves. We can ask for help. We can seek out that divine light inside of us that will take us out of the darkness. It will lead us out of the darkness. And I say us because I am an emotional eater. And that's a part of suffering. Believe it or not, emotional eaters, what we do is a part of suffering. You may not want to admit it, but in healing yourselves, that is a part of, in admitting to yourself, some of this is a part of healing yourself. I don't care how many surgeries you have, I don't care what you do, and there's no such thing as diet, okay, in my book anyways. Yes, I had surgery, but believe me, that was just the very beginning of the tip of the iceberg. It's been a long 6.5, 7-year journey in order for me to maintain the level of controlling my triggers, controlling those things that trigger me to indulge. Okay, when I say controlling my triggers, it's accepting my trigger and saying, okay, I'm not going to do this, or let me meditate, do some affirmations, let me get it together. Okay, and believe me, it hurts. It hurts deeply, okay? I'm not gonna make no excuses for myself here. So, you may not want to believe it, but emotional eating or any type of excessiveness, behavior, outside of peace is a form of suffering. Okay, so anything that takes you away from that peace that you feel inside is a form of suffering. So, you have now acknowledged that. I have acknowledged it. You may want to write some of this in your journal. It's very helpful. And this is not on a negative note, this is on a positive note, because when you realize what's going on inside of you, in your body being your temple, and you have the power in you to control what you put into your temple and to maintain a healthy temple, which is this body, your whole life changes. And that's why I said I don't believe in this quote unquote diet thing. I believe in building up the strength inside of me, building that spirit, opening the door, opening the window, opening the light, opening my heart to that everlasting love that's inside of me, that sometimes I shut the door on and I can't reach because I have taken a worldly approach and shut myself off from it. Okay, so for our rejoicing is this: the testimony of our conscience, that is simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, but by the grace of God. You and I must first recognize what is troubling and be sincere with ourselves. Okay? So once we recognize what's troubling us, we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to say, okay, this is what's happening. My husband is either cheating on me, my wife is cheating on me, however you want to put it. I'm eating ice cream all night. I'm staying up all night. I have bags under my eyes. I'm being mean to my children. We have to control that, because excessiveness, no matter what form it takes, is ugly. It is not a godly thing to do. It's not a divine thing to do. It's something that will tear you down. No matter how you look at it, it will tear you apart. And we are we wear a crown. We wear a loving crown, and we shine according to how we open up that inner spirit and let out as much light as we want to let out. And I say want because it's a choice. It is a choice. And it's a choice that I have as well as you. The problem that we have, or issues, is that sometimes we can't, we struggle with the flesh. We struggle with what's going on around us. I'm going to share a personal story with you really quickly. I was married. Many years back I was married. And when I was getting ready for my gastric bypass surgery, my husband said to me, you don't have to do that for me because I love you just the way you are. And I said, wow, you think that you have that much power over me that I would actually risk my life for you? Well, I said, I love you too, but I'm doing this for me. And I'm praying for the hands that's operating on me, because if God brings me out of this, it was meant to be. If God takes me to another place, then that was meant to be as well. However, I am not going under the knife for you. I'm doing this for me. So that has to do with self-love. And I love me. And I hope you love you, because we are divine and our bodies are our temples. I'm just going to share another part with you. Okay. God tells us here, you have the power within, you and I, to represent ourselves to the world, in whatever form we choose. And it doesn't matter how the rest of the world sees you, because that's the flesh, that's the world. What matters is how you see yourself, and the fact that we are a divine force that is very powerful, and that power reaches out across the universe. We are connected in some type of form or fashion. When someone walks up to you and greets you with a smile, you generally smile back, and it's a good feeling. So that's a connection you're making right there with that person. Remember this, and this is 9:16. I'm still in Corinthians. He which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Okay? So here's the bottom line with that, people. What you put into yourself is what you're going to get out of it. You put in positive things, you would surround yourself with positive people, loving people, gracefulness, no matter what form it takes, you're going to get it back some way. If you surround yourself with cake, alcohol, cigarettes, or whatever else is excessive or eating at you, no matter what it is, your body, your temple, is going to show that on the outside. Okay? This flesh that we're in, it's going to represent. So you decide. You decide. Either you want a healthy, loving temple, or I'll tell you this. I have a brother who is an alcoholic who's much younger than I am. My brother looks like he is 75 years old. Alcohol has eaten him alive. And this is his temple. And I spend time with him sometimes just talking because he's walking with a walker. And like I said, he's much younger than I am. But I distinctly remember as we were growing up, he has such a good time. Okay? Whereas some of his friends may have been drinking, he couldn't stop. So he stopped drinking, but his body has taken a toll. My mom says to me, you know, you have a way with people and you know what you do. Why don't you go and talk to your brother? And this is when he was a heavy drinker. I said to my mom, if he's not ready, there's nothing on earth I can do or say that's going to change his mind. When he's ready, the divine spirit inside of him will guide him to the light. And he will be a brand new person. It may not be in the flesh, but his soul will be saved. Thank you, and God bless.